The following broadcast is brought to you by the iGolf Sports Network.
Golf Talk Live is sponsored by the iGolf Sports Network and Golf Tips Magazine. Here's Andrew to tell you more about our sponsors.
iGolf Sports is a live stream broadcast and media production company providing quality programming designed to attract the golfing enthusiast. And Golf Tips, the game's most in-depth instruction magazine, including reviews on the latest equipment, tips from top teaching professionals, all designed to help you improve from tee to green. Welcome to Golf Talk Live with your host, Ted Odorico. Join Ted each week as he speaks with some of the best in golf. This week's special guest will join us a bit later. But first up is another great discussion on Coach's Corner. So let's introduce tonight's Coach's Corner panel.
All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Season 13 of Golf Talk Live. I'm your host, Ted Odorico. We've got a great show for you this evening. The Coach's Corner panel is on a break this week, but they'll be back next week. I'm really excited, though. I'm going to have a couple of segments on the show tonight. We're going to start things off here in just a moment with a great travel segment featuring Josh Richter. He's from Boyne, and I'll give you a little bit more detail on him in just a moment. And a little bit later on the show, I'm going to be speaking with my featured guest of the evening, Jake Gordon, the founder and CEO of Notify. But don't forget, you can get this broadcast every week is uploaded to the iGolf Sports YouTube channel. I'll give you all the information a little bit later on in the broadcast. And it's also available on Spotify and then also at Spreaker.com for the audio version. And basically, wherever you listen to podcasts, you can hear this broadcast at a little bit later on today or early tomorrow. So you'll be able to get that very quickly, but always excited to do these broadcasts. And as I said, this is season 13. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about my first guest, and then we're going to get into this evening's discussion on our travel segment. Josh Richter is my special travel guest tonight, and he is a PGA professional and senior vice president of golf operations for Boyne. And he is spending his entire career really at Boyne Resorts since 1999. Over the years, he's held several positions, including assistant professional at the Highlands for about 4 years, and he was the PGA head professional at both the Ross Golf Center and the Heather for 4 and 5 years, respectively. And then he's also the director of golf for 7 years as well at Boyne. So he's been there for a long time. His current role, as I mentioned, is senior vice president of golf operations, and he essentially oversees all aspects of the 14 Boyne golf courses nationwide. So, Josh, thank you very much for joining me tonight on Golf Talk Live. I appreciate it.
Yeah, Ted, thanks for having me. And nice to hear you're going to be talking to Jake later. He's we've got to know each other pretty well in the last months, and I'm sure he'll be very insightful for your audience.
Oh yeah. We've had I think it was actually him. He was on about a year ago, and so I'm very familiar with Notify, and it's a great business, and I know it's been helping a lot of golf courses around the U.S. and abroad. But we're going to talk about the reason I wanted to have you on tonight was, as I said, for my travel segment, I really wanted to talk about some great places to go and play as we get ready to get into the new golf season. Of course, we get the Masters firing up for next week, so everybody's excited about that. But everybody's in sort of golf mode right now as we get ready for the first major. And I thought, what a great opportunity to talk about a fantastic property on our travel segment tonight. So I want to ask you first off, though, because I know you guys got some exciting news. USA Today, of course, a great paper, has awarded you guys 10 best awards, named Boyne Golf as the #1 golf resort destination in the U.S. And also the Highlands was named as the #2 golf resort in the United States. So you guys have got to be pretty stoked about that. So tell me about how you guys feel and sort of when did you find out?
We found out, about just over a week ago that we had won and then second for the Highlands. And, it really to us, kind of affirmed something we've been working on for 10 plus years in terms of making the Boyne Golf brand a national golf brand, not just a state or a regional brand. And we've been tremendously successful with that. I think this is a validation to that. We've had guests from 48 different states each of the last 3 years.
Right.
So that tells us, as Traverse City Airport has continued to add flights, there's now 20 direct flights in the summertime into TVC. And I think that's really helped support that national initiative in terms of bringing guests from all over. And, we're really honored that to be recognized. It's something that was initially nominated for,
right,
and supported, and then subsequently the readers were able to confirm what we felt humbly inside, that we're a pretty good place to come to, and we're honored and excited, especially to talk about it and share that news, and it's good stuff.
And what's interesting, and again, just for those that aren't familiar, where is Boyne located? For those that maybe have never been and first time listeners to the program, where is it located?
Yeah, so Boyne Golf, as we're really speaking to more specifically tonight, is in northern Lower Michigan,
right,
in the Petoskey, Harbor Springs, Boyne Falls region. So we have 11 golf courses spread out over 3 wonderful resorts. If we put a circle around it, if you will, we're talking about a 25-mile span, furthest north to furthest south. Mm-hmm. And again, the hubs being these 3 resorts, the Highlands, in at Bay Harbor, and Boyne Mountain, that have these beautiful facilities and everything that goes with them. So it's much more than just golf, but golf, in our opinion, is really the backbone of the why you come to visit us.
So obviously you mentioned about ease of access, of course, with the airport being able to tap into, as you said, 48 of the 50 states. So, I mean, it's obviously very accessible in that, but why do you think so many people are coming now more than ever before? Is it partially, obviously golf has become more and more popular in the last several years. I mean, not that it wasn't popular before, but, COVID seemed to open a lot of eyes. Is it just that, the word is getting out there more effectively than maybe in the past? What's the reasons? Why do you think so many people are coming to Boyne?
I mean, a lot of the things that you described. One of the things, and I guess I'll give an example. I was in Boston a couple weeks ago for the North East Golf Show, and having the opportunity to speak to that audience in actually Foxborough, so close, and to be able to say, a direct flight from Logan Airport to TVC, you can be with us in 3.5 hours.
Yeah,
and it's access like that opens the door, and then to be able to speak to these 3 resorts, these 11 golf courses, the variety of the 11 golf courses, the consistency of the conditioning of the 11 golf courses. We pride ourselves really on 2 big pillars when it comes to your golf experience with us, and that's golf course conditions and consistency of turf, consistency of green speed, and then pace of play. And our goal isn't to have hundreds and hundreds of golfers and stack them deep and have them go
right
around, but our goal is to create an experience for you that you're willing to pay a premium for, and to really enjoy what you're getting out of that. And we feel like over the last decade plus, we've been able to do that. To get a little more in depth on it, we developed a playbook or a set of expectations for our golf courses. So, and when you come play 11 courses, especially if you're traveling from Boston or Arizona or Florida, you don't want to, every time you step on the tee of the Ross or the Crooked Tree or Bay Harbor Golf Club, to have this big variety in terms of what you're going to expect in particular greens. And
right.
so we've done that. We're within a half a foot of one another at all the golf courses at speeds at 10.5 plus, which we find 10.5 to 11 to be a good green speed for most.
Right.
Some might like it a little faster, some might like it a little slower, but it's for most, not for all.
Right.
as best you can do. And we just think that with all that work and effort and consistent that we put in, it keeps people around. Instead of 2 days, you're going to stay 3 days. You're going to get in what you can, and not to mention being on the western side of the Eastern time zone. In the summertime, we have very long days, daylight into the 10 p.m. hour. And frankly, we have pretty good temperatures compared to some of the markets where these direct flights are coming from in the summertime, where you might want to escape the heat.
Yeah, I can relate to that being in Florida. So, we want to get as far north as we can. And Michigan is obviously a beautiful state. So many great things up there to in addition to Boyne, obviously, but this is a great. So if somebody's wanting to come there, I mean, obviously, what's unique about you guys is having so many courses to choose from. You're covering a wide swath. I mean, you talked about the speed of the greens and things like that, which is important because you want to make it accessible for a lot of golfers, like a bigger number of golfers. You don't want to make it too challenging. Unfortunately, there's a lot of resorts that folks go to, and the old stimp meters, they've cranked it up a little bit. And I'm not saying quite to pro level, but it's pretty fast. And it's a little bit hard for people. So, having it not quite as fast makes it more accessible to the everyday golfer. So a lot of the course, I mean, I know you can't get into all of them, but generally, do you have sort of a setup where for the less, the more challenged player, let's say the ones that are maybe not a high handicapper, friends, there's something there for them. And then obviously for the more experienced players that want to be challenged, you've got some options for them as well. Maybe you could just touch a little bit on both of that.
Yeah, excellent points. And one of the things that we really enjoy and to speak to is we have 6 tee boxes on all of our golf courses, so you can play to the length. And one of our mottos is play the tee that's going to create the most fun for you. So whether that's 5,500 yards or that's 7,000 yards, to each their own. And also don't be afraid to play up maybe a tee from where maybe at home is. And a number of years ago, we actually changed our tee colors, and they're a little more obscure. They're not like the typical maybe black, blue, white, and red that you see at a lot of facilities. Because our goal is, take a look at the scorecard, find a yardage that you feel comfortable with, to go out and have a good time. And whether it be, we talked about the Donald Ross Memorial briefly. Some view that as a more difficult golf course. The Monument, which was built in the 80s when building hard golf courses was kind of the thing.
Right.
So you have those opportunities to play those golf courses.
Sure.
But we also have opportunities to play, a little more, call it user friendly golf courses like Arthur Hills, with these huge wide open fairways and these big greens and tons of change in elevations. It's got a ton of wow factor to it. Or my personal favorite golf course, the Heather, which was our original, built by Trent Jones Sr. in 1966. It's that classic Parkland style golf course, and it's just a lot of fun. It's got a lot of the natural amphitheater settings. It's a host site to a lot of events, state events that we've hosted. We've hosted, I think it's 5 or 6 Michigan State amateurs. We've hosted the Michigan PGA State Pro-Am for about 40 years. And it gives you a chance to play at a place that's truly a championship golf course that hosts championship events, and that's what we're very proud to have, this kind of variety for you to create the experience that you're looking for as an individual.
Yeah, and I think that's important because when you go, you want to have options. You want to be able to say, okay, you know what, maybe I'm not as good right now as I'd like to be. So there's something here for me, or I don't feel as intimidated playing this course. Maybe it's a little more forgiving than this course over here, or some of the other options. And then you can kind of work your way. If you're there for a few days and you've got opportunity to play a number, you can kind of, wet your whistle, if you will, on one to kind of see how it's going to go. And then if you want to step it up, you've obviously maybe hit one of the more challenging courses as well. So you've got a lot of options there, which I think is important for people nowadays, especially our amateur golfers, and in particular our high handicap golfers. In addition to golf, obviously that's a big thing, but there's more than just golf. I mean, you're a resort, you've got a lot of other amenities there. What are some of the things both on the resort and then also in the nearby area, if people want to come up there and obviously make a vacation out of it? Obviously you want to get them on the golf courses, but they want other things to do as well. So what are some of the options here?
Yeah, and you're absolutely right, Ted. The story is creating the experience that's yours. Yeah, and whatever that is. And we have seen where unlimited golf has maybe tapped the brakes a little bit into playing 18 or 27 in a day and experiencing some of the other things that our wonderful towns and community offer. And one of the highlights that certainly don't want to mention is Skybridge, Michigan, which is at Boyne Mountain. It's the longest timber tower suspension bridge in the world.
Wow.
It's a heck of an experience walking across and looking around at Boyne Mountain. One of the other unique things about that is when you're driving, you're playing Boyne Mountain on the Alpine or the Monument. It's about a mile and a quarter drive to the first tee, and you get to kind of the top of the hill where you see those tee boxes go in the two different directions for the golf courses, and you look over to your left and you see the end of Skybridge, Michigan. And then you also see our eight person chairlift there, Disciples 8. And it's kind of like, wow, this is really quite the place I'm at. And and outside of that, we have resort activities, whether it be horseback riding, zip lining, as other activities to do within the resort. We have a fabulous set of different dining options. From Boyne Mountain at the beach house, which is right there on Deer Lake. It's a beautiful outdoor setting with and they got a little tiki bar. You can go to the Inn at Bay Harbor and eat at Vintage, which is a beautiful, beautiful steakhouse, and outdoor seating looking over at Little Traverse Bay and Lake Michigan. There's a cabana bar there as well, attached to the pool. And then you go up to the Highlands and our Country Club of Boyne, which is really set in the backdrop of the 18th hole of Donald Ross Memorial, and sitting out on the patio there, and have a post-round drink or dinner or whatever. It's a place I may or may not have been quite a few times over my career, but it's there's nothing better, and especially when you think of buddies trips or a trip with a bunch of couples to have the opportunity to go up and watch your friends come in, a little heckling maybe happen here and there, and just enjoy more. And the other thing you mentioned that is really a big deal is Harbor Springs, Boyne City, Petoskey, beautiful waterfront cities. Great boutique shopping, great restaurants. It's you come for Boyne Golf and for the golf experience, but there's just so many more things to do, and I have to pinch myself quite often that this is my home.
You raise some really great points, because as I was sort of alluding to is, and you touched on, it's not just the buddy trips anymore. I mean, there's obviously a lot of guys that still, there's, thousands of buddy trips every year, but now you're getting more and more couples wanting to play golf together and want to do things, and they want a little bit different experience. Maybe it's one couple going on a vacation somewhere that plays golf, that wants to get some golf in, but they want other activities as well. Maybe it's a family that's coming up, or maybe it's two couples wanting to go and that like to vacation together, but happen to play golf. Maybe even some of them don't play golf, but there's obviously a lot of activities there, and you want to have that experience. So when you go, it makes you say, I don't want to leave, obviously, which is great for you guys. But more importantly, unfortunately, some of us have to leave, but it makes you think, okay, this is a place I want to come back again, because there's so many different things to do. We're not going to hit it all in one visit. So, maybe this is something we're going to come back and make an annual and do a little bit each time we come, and just, kind of do the circuit, if you will. So, this is why I think it's important. And really, I wanted to give you an opportunity to come on and talk about Boyne tonight as part of our travel segment, is just to give people a chance. I mean, I know a lot of people are familiar with it, but there's a lot of people that may not be familiar with it. And just to remind people that, hey, there's a great property up in Michigan. We're getting into the golf season. For those that may be down here in the South, that are looking for, as you pointed out earlier in the show, maybe a little cooler climate that's not quite as steamy as Arizona and Florida. It's a great destination to go to. I also noticed too, at the Highlands coming up in June, you've got the Epson Tour coming. Tell us about that. You got to be pretty excited about having the young girls coming up there and as they get ready to earn their cards to the LPGA. Tell us about that event.
Yeah, we're hosting in June. It's the Friday, Saturday, Sunday of Father's Day. I believe it's the 13th through the 15th of June, and yeah, we're excited. We as a company and as an organization want to be stewards and supporters of golf.
Sure.
And we have a rich history of that, of hosting tournament golf, through some of the stuff that I described earlier. Mm-hmm. And so having the chance to host the Great Lakes Championship at the Highlands and partnering with the Great Lakes Sports Commission to host that event is a real honor for us. The these women aspiring to be LPGA Tour players are tremendously talented. From having the opportunity to attend a couple other events in anticipation of us hosting, it was remarkable how kind and sweet and accommodating and social that they are, with the spectators and the host facilities that are having their events there. And the other unique thing is we're the middle of a 3 tournament run for the Epson Tour in Michigan, preceded by the event down in Battle Creek, and then coming north to the Heather at the Highlands for their second event, and then going up to the Island Casino Resort as the final stop. And so we feel that we're going to get the best of the best on that tour that are going to come enjoy that 3 tournament swing. And we're doing a few things with those other tournaments to kind of create a Michigan Cup-ish type thing with it. And again, we're just excited to host something like this and to show off our facilities and to spend time with these wonderful young ladies and watch them be successful.
Yeah, they're great. I do a Tuesday morning show as well called The Women of Golf, and we interview my co-host LPGA professional Cindy Miller. We interview a lot of the winners from the Epson Tour each week, and you couldn't have asked for more professional players. I actually enjoy interviewing them more than I do the guys. Not that I'm complaining about the guys, but they just seem to be just very, very humble and but they know their stuff, and they just really they enjoy the pro-ams. They enjoy networking in the communities and things like that, and being involved in clinics, and they just enjoy giving back to the game. And that's going to be a great event, and I know that they're going to love the property. So I know you guys are looking forward to that. And I think you actually have some pro-am teams still available, some spots available. Is that correct?
We do, yeah. We're hosting a pro-am on Wednesday and Thursday of the event, and it's a great time. You can go to Great Lakes Championships website to take a look at the choices and the opportunities there. And like I spoke to from having some individual experiences, is it's unlike, I think, most pro-ams, true pro-ams where you're playing with a tour professional from the various tours. They are so engaging.
Oh yeah,
and it is an experience with them.
Yeah, and that's why I say anybody that is fortunate enough to get in a group and able to attend this event in June and be able to be part of the pro-am, they're going to have a great time. These young ladies, like I said, that they're I've been to a number of the Epson Tour events, including their tour championship at the end of the year, and I've also seen many of them as they the ones that maybe didn't fare as well through the season had to go to the Q Series, and I've reconnected with some of them at that as well later in the season. And I mean, you're never going to find a harder working group of tour players than these young ladies. I'll tell you, they're out there grinding it first thing in the morning, and till well into the later hours of the day, and then in between that, they've sandwiched in their rounds. So these girls work hard. So I know it's going to be a great event. You also had the opening of the Dune Bray and also Backyard, new short course and a 27 hole putting area at the Highlands. Tell us a little bit about those.
Yeah, so Dune Bray is our new short course that we opened, and we believe it's the first short course like that ever built on a ski hill. So it's pretty neat. And Dune Bray, downhill, down slope. When you translate it, Scottish, the Highlands is kind of an Irish Scottish theme resort. So that's the kind of the story behind the name Dune Bray. And really the other unique story around Dune Bray is that the green complex as the holes are inspirations of design elements from C.B. Macdonald and Donald Ross. So they're pretty unique green complexes. Another part of our story around Dune Bray is there's no per se specific teeing area. So you play on a typical golf course. There's a teeing area that's cut at a height of cut that you'd expect at a fairway, or just a little shorter than a fairway length. Where we're all one height of cut from the teeing zones up to the green complex, then the green's cut, of course, like you'd expect a green at a championship golf course. So it gives the guests an opportunity to play at whatever yardage you want. Our holes can be as long as 150 on the first hole, and can be, as short as in the 80s on some other holes. But you could play them all at 40 yards, 50 yards, 60 yards. And so that's going to be a fun time. And we did a couple preview days back in September, and the feedback was exceptional. So excited to grand open that and to have a lot more people experience it. And then you referred to the backyard, and backyard's about an acre and a half putting green. We'll have a 27 hole kind of loop that you can play. And the way we did it was, it'll basically be like 3 9s. So if you only have time to come play 9, you can come play the gold 9, you can come play the green 9, and you can play the white 9. And so we have all this set up. There's drink holders at the teeing areas, if you will, at each of those holes. Easy access to the slope side lounge, which is right next door. It's a heck of a space anyway. And the whole story with backyard and yard is unique because it's spelled YAIRD. Yeah. Again, back to the kind of the theme of the resort. And we've always referred to that space as our backyard, as the resort, from having, once upon a time, having tennis courts back there, having yard games back there, having a little putting course back there. But this has just elevated it to modern and to what you'd expect at a place like we have.
Fantastic. Before I give you an opportunity, some final thoughts, you're going to talk a little bit more about accommodations and that. Also want to make sure we take a moment to give them the website if they want to get more information. If you go to boynegolf.com, you can check out all of the amenities that we're talking about here and more. And you can also reach out if you want to the many agents that can help put that package together for you. But just sort of some closing thoughts. What about accommodations? I know you guys have got a lot of options there, so maybe give us a overhead or overview of that if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, between the 3 resorts, there's over 120 different room types, over 3,000 beds. So, one of the things you spoke to our reservationists or our specialists, as we like to say, the big deal is when you're looking to go on a destination, a beautiful golf trip, we all have a picture in our head of what that looks like. Mm-hmm. And our experts in those locations are set up to make that picture in your head your reality. Yeah. So we love it when someone calls and says, okay, here's what I'm looking for. I'm coming with 2 couples, I'm coming with 12 buddies, I'm coming with whatever your picture in your head is, and I want to play 5 rounds of golf. I want to stay somewhere that we can be close together in the evening to be able to play cards or do a barbecue or again, whatever your dream is for your destination golf trip. And you articulate that to us, and they go to work to make that dream a reality for you.
That's fantastic. And yeah, you want that kind of experience. If you're gonna come, whether again it's a buddy trip or whether it's with your life partner and you want to have a good time, you want somebody that obviously can lay a great package out, help you make some decisions. Because if you're somebody that's done that a lot over your life, then it may be not as difficult. But if you're wanting to go especially if you've never been here before and you want to really have a great experience, you want to talk to somebody that can say, hey, here are some options that you really want to consider, and put a great package and help you put that great package together so that you've had a wonderful experience when you get there. So right from the get-go. And that's phenomenal for you guys to be able to offer that to your visitors and your customers and things like that, because that falls under obviously customer service, and that's right. To be able to have those specialists to come out there. So for those that want to get again more information, you want to go to boynegolf.com, and to get that guest experience, you can reach out to their specialists and start planning your dream golf vacation today. And I'm really, really excited. I'm going to make it up there. I was supposed to go a couple years ago, and unfortunately I had to cancel last minute, but I'm going to try to make it out this season if I can. So, but great property, I know, and a lot of folks I know that have gone up there and enjoyed it and speak very highly of it. So again, Boyne Resorts, are just phenomenal. But Josh, I want to thank you very much for joining me tonight and this special travel segment, and being able to feature the many golf courses and obviously amenities that Boyne has to offer at all of the resorts. So I appreciate it for joining me. If you hang on for just 1 second, I'm going to take a quick short break to hear from some of our sponsors. And when I return, I'll be joined by the founder and CEO of Notify, Jake Gordon. We'll be right back.
Improve your putting with the Alignment Ball Marker, a revolutionary new in-game putting alignment tool and ball marker. Its patented design allows you to read your putt and adjust your alignment at the same time by using your putter, which improves your accuracy and makes the process of putting faster. 100% legal according to the USGA, by their definition, permitted under the rules of golf. Winner of Best New Product at the PGA Show and only $9.99 on Amazon. And it's also completely customizable for any golf event or as a promotional giveaway. Order at alignmentballmark.com.
All right. Welcome back. Very excited to have my next guest, my featured guest of the evening, the founder and CEO of Notify, Jake Gordon. Here's a little bit more about Jake, and then we'll get into tonight's discussion. Jake is the founder and CEO of Notify, golf's fastest growing company focused on golfer demand technology. Notify has helped golf course operators fill tee time cancellations and no-shows that would have otherwise been perished, making them considerable revenue versus them losing some revenue. So Notify's service is also a welcome convenience for golfers and tee time bookings akin to OpenTable or Resi for restaurants. He's based in Los Angeles. Jake is passionate about emerging technology and software innovation in golf, and he's an expert in scaling new technology businesses, having spent his career working at Accenture Ventures, working directly with dozens of portfolio companies to help them grow by millions in sales. So, Jake, welcome to Golf Talk Live. I appreciate you giving me some time.
Thanks for having me, Ted.
So, what's it doing out in LA right now? Sunny and...
Yeah, I used to be able to really brag about all of the amazing weather we had, and it'd be December, and I'd be talking to my friends on the East Coast who were, knee deep in snow and really twisting the knife about how perfect it was. Unfortunately, I think the fires kind of damper that argument. So I don't find myself bragging about our weather as often, but what I will say is it's pretty nice out. Can't deny that it's hard to beat 70 degrees and cloudless, but it's that time of year. I think most of the rest of the East Coast is starting to have the snow melt. So I don't know. What about you, Ted? Where's home base for you?
I'm in Florida, so we're starting to work into that 80-degree weather. Of course, the Masters is next week. Everybody's gearing up, and so of course we have, much like you guys do in the southern part of California, pretty much can play golf for the most part all year round. Much like Arizona as well. Obviously, we get a little hotter here than what you guys typically do, but we're all, all the folks up in the Northeast that are getting ready to get out and play some golf. And once the first major comes out, the Masters, everybody's, sitting in front of the TV with their golf club in hand, working on their grip and all that kind of stuff. So, or they're planning a trip somewhere that they can get out and get some early rounds in. But so the first thing I want to do for just people that maybe, I give a little bit of information, but I really wanted to give you the opportunity to speak about what you're passionate about. So give us a little bit of background, if you will, in the origins of Notify and its sort of OpenTable, that cancellation, no show, that sort of thing. Explain what it is and how it actually works. And then we'll get into specifics afterwards.
Yeah, well, Ted, I'm based here in Los Angeles, and believe it or not, I'm a newer golfer. I didn't really pick up the sport until about 6 years ago, a little bit before COVID time. And I don't know how much you read or saw about all the craziness out here in Southern California of trying to find tee times. You may have even covered the madness of the bots and the brokers and
Yeah.
You pretty much needed to beg, borrow, and steal to try and find a weekend tee time.
Mm-hmm.
And as someone who was new to the game, kind of came into golf from the technology industry, but as a passionate, hobbyist, I just was shocked about how painful it was and how much friction there was as a weekend hack like myself to try and get out and play. So I would find myself talking to you on a Thursday afternoon, and then on this monitor over here, just hammering refresh over and over again, really hoping that you find that perfect 8 a.m. tee time at the local course. And for me, one thing that was surprising was a lot of the tee sheets I was using didn't have any functionality that could automate some of the searching process.
Right.
So, you call your local course and you say, hey, Ted, I'm looking to get out. I'm a regular. Anything you can do? Hey, man, just call back, check again, and good luck. Right.
Yeah.
And I was just totally kind of floored because when you compare that experience to OpenTable, Resi, even like Google Flights, YouTube even has some notification capabilities when something opens up, whether a creator does a new post. So I was really intrigued by this premise of real-time notifications when your desired opening came or your desired thing you wanted revealed itself. So that started percolating the idea of, hey, what if we could put like a virtual tee time assistant in your pocket, and the golfer could just effectively automate that searching process at their favorite club. So I could say, hey, I want to play at, for example, Los Robles Golf Club right down the road between 8 and 10 a.m. on Saturday, or even better, every Saturday the entire season. Notify me. Put my phone away, go about my business, and if and when something opens, I get a text to my phone saying, hey, Jake, hey, Ted, that time just opened. Someone canceled and book now. So that was kind of the initial idea. And believe it or not, and it's not too dissimilar to what I just described today. The only difference is we migrated the idea from being like a consumer app where we could download something and go search to being a purely B2B software platform for courses.
Right.
And ironically, everything I just described, I'm sure daily fee golfers can relate to, the pain and misery of searching for times. But believe it or not, course operators are also leaving pretty decent amount of revenue on the table from last minute cancellations going unfilled or from no-shows. And as you're probably familiar, golf courses are perishable inventory, very similar to an airplane or a restaurant or a doctor's appointment. If that time goes unfilled, it's gone, right? The inventory and the revenue is gone. So for us, we said, hey, we'll go to these courses and offer a solution to notify their golfers when openings occurred. And they pretty much would make that extra money and the phones would be quieter. So long story short, we started with one course here in town and we scaled quickly to a multi-course operator. And over the last year and a half, 2 years, we now have over 700 courses using the software and hundreds of thousands of golfers from around the world using Notify.
Now, is Notify pretty much right now just available in the U.S., or are you working with courses in Europe or Canada, let's say, or is it pretty much right now based in the U.S.?
We, I think, are in 5 countries. So we have maybe 30 to 50 courses in Canada, but we've got a club in New Zealand, we've got a club in Japan, we've got a club in Aruba, we've got a club in the Dominican, or a set of clubs, and that's Costa Campo. But it's interesting, I've actually still been trying to figure out, does this extreme over demand to supply exist elsewhere? I know, listen, we go to the old course and they've got people lining up the night before to camp out, but I've still been trying to figure out, is this just a U.S., North America problem, or is this a global problem?
I think you'll probably find, there's going to be some situations like the old course and that they don't really, like you said, they're camping outside. So there may not be in the same category. There's some that may, but who knows? Obviously the U.S. is going to be your biggest market initially. You've got, 25 plus million golfers that are, consistent. Now you've got a whole new crop like yourself coming in. What was the response when you first sort of reached out to some of the courses, when you sort of said, okay, we're going to go from just a consumer app and everybody searching their own thing to business to business. What was some of the response that you had initially from the course? Because I can imagine they're coming across and saying, well, wait a minute, we're not going to have control over the tee times now. It's going to be automated in a sense. I mean, even though they're going to get revenues from it and it's going to fill those tee sheets, it takes out of their hands. So initially, was there some resistance that you noticed until they kind of headed in there and said, okay, hey, this is a lot better than we thought it was going to be?
100%. That's one of the reasons we switched away from being a consumer app is, this idea of a marketplace, right? Think Uber. You've got their drivers on one side and the riders on the other. Mm-hmm. You need both sides to feel really good about the arrangement. Now, obviously, it's never perfect. You've got the drivers who feel like they're a little underpaid, but they still show up and they turn on the app and they get out there and they make money. That's why, Airbnb, the marketplace works if both the supply and the demand side are feeling really good about their situation. Now, in my initial idea, the supply side, i.e. the course, as you were alluding to, is not looped in. So, that's kind of the challenge, similar to Golf Now, right? Golf Now has relationships with every single club that's on their booking app. And so it's, whether you like it or not, that's the arrangement. So for me, I think I was getting a lot of resistance to this premise of, who the heck are you guys?
Right,
don't touch our inventory. I know it's a cute idea, but scurry along because, listen, I don't want another app touching my inventory. And by the way, there was a huge aversion we saw to the idea of brokers and bots and all that madness. So we realized pretty quickly we needed to jump to the other side and tell the supply, i.e. the courses, hey, here's why this is a good idea for you. And by the way, we do things like we don't put two courses that are competitors next to each other. The course operators, it's branded in their name and image, and it's exclusively for them. So that's one of the benefits is they're not having Ted go to, one site to have 10 courses. It's Ted going one course at a time. Yep. Now you only need one login. It's actually just your phone number to use the service. So that's kind of the journey, and I could go on and on about it, but a little bit more there of jumping the fence from B2C to B2B.
Yeah, and I can tell you firsthand, I mean, I've been in the golf business for probably, I'd say 32 years. I'm a teacher professional, and then obviously I do the podcast now and I have a publication and whatnot. But I can tell you firsthand that I know how fickle the industry is, and it's tough to break in. But when I look at what it is that you're offering here, and I think to myself, you're looking at it purely from a technology standpoint, is how can I make this experience, this user, more user friendly? Again, the old fashioned having a call back, is there anything available? Is there anything available? Well, put me on a list. And, the guy gets distracted in the pro shop and somebody comes in and takes the spot that you wanted because he forgot to call you back and say, hey, it's available now, so-and-so canceled. So your generation is coming up with a lot of great ideas like this to say we can modernize this process, making it more user-friendly for both sides, both the business and also for the customer, who ultimately is the one that's paying your bills, at the golf course. So we want to make that a user-friendly experience. But I can also understand, again, they get approached by a lot of people, say, well, we've got this great app, we want to integrate it with your system, and they want to be careful of that. So what has been some of the feedbacks that you guys have been getting, though, since, I mean, you said it's been a couple of years now that you've really started getting out there? What has been some of the feedback?
I think you start with just one yes. You just try to get to your first yes. We've always had great golfer feedback where you pitch this idea to any golfer who's ever booked a tee time. You immediately are like, oh my God, this is the greatest thing. We love this. Yes, I want to be notified of my favorite tee time. It's the easiest pitch in the world. But on the B2B side, which is obviously, as you alluded to, where our business is, it's a different type of pitch, and you got to stack one yes at a time. So I vividly remember picking up the phone, calling the club, and just cold pitching them. Hey, Ted, this is Jake. Big fan of your course. Play it all the time. listen, I can never get on. And, is that something other golfers complain about? Yeah. Hey, listen, I always notice on Friday mornings, Friday afternoons, tee times pop open. Do you have any mechanism of refilling those? No, we usually fill them, but sometimes they go unfilled. Okay.
Sure.
Well, what if you could notify someone? Would that and they'd book directly with you and you keep the revenue? Would that be interesting? Yeah, why not? Hey, I'm actually working on that idea. Would you want to try it? Sure. Let's give it a spin. You get your first yes, and then the traction starts. So you just stack those yeses and bringing it to a small multi-course operator and on and on. From the beginning, the feedback from the course operators was very positive. We had that first champion who had our back and, spoke highly of he said, listen, I don't even care about the revenue. I care about my phone stop ringing. Right? I'm getting calls all day long.
Right.
It's distracting. I've got 4 people in line. The phone's ringing. Hey, is there anything available? Hold, can you please hold? Right. He said, I want to get time back to spend with my customers face to face. And that's why he loved it. The next one was all about revenue and how we were capturing incremental revenue. And so, just parlaying that feedback, we work with so many different types of clubs. The feedback's always different. We work with munis. We work with 80 of the top 200 U.S. resorts, Streamsong, Sand Valley, Chambers Bay, and on and on and on. Some of the best clubs in the world are using the software. And then we have 9-hole, $18, rural Texas clubs.
Right.
It all drills down to 3 things. Number 1 is enhancing the golfer experience. You want to make it easier and more frictionless for your customers to come to your club, full stop. And if there's some pain and friction, they got to keep calling and refreshing, they might pick up pickleball, right?
Right.
Your competitor might not be the course down the road. It might be another hobby because if you're pushing them away, they might not come back. So the first thing is the experience. The second is, almost like an insurance policy on your best inventory. Mm-hmm. If someone cancels 9 a.m. Saturday, on Friday night because there's an emergency, well, that has a shelf life. And do you have a way to refill that? So we help with that. And then the last is just the efficiency, making your operation better. So depending on the club, we get feedback in all different buckets saying, hey, we're doing way more revenue, or we have way less calls, or just, hey, our golfers are stoked about this.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit of the feedback we're getting.
Let's talk a little bit, and I'm not asking specific revenue, but before they jumped on board, what was typically because obviously you look into things, you're saying, okay, here, let's take a look at how much you're actually, is unfilled.
Sure.
What would be, if you were to average it out, what was some of the percentage of revenue lost? Say over the course of the year, was it 10%? Was it 5%? Was it 20%? Give us kind of an idea of what some of the initial, investigating on your part that you noticed that they were revenue. What was the percentage, do you think, if you were to take a guess?
Sure. So there's kind of 2 big stats that just jumped off the page. The first is cancellation rates. Mm-hmm. 1 in 5 tee times will result in a cancellation.
Right.
20%. And now a decent amount of that will get organically rebooked, right? But some portion, maybe 30%, 40%, actually could be at risk of getting perished after being canceled. So the first one is the cancellation rate. If I'm talking to an operator, you've got a 20% cancellation problem, what are you doing about it? Mm-hmm. Right? That's the first question. The second one is no-shows. So I don't know if you work at a public facility, but we started digging into no-show rates, and no-show rates were anywhere between 8 to 12% of all rounds.
Yeah.
So if you're a club doing 40,000 rounds, that could be a $200,000 a year problem that you have, where you're not only missing out on the green fees, you're missing out on the food and bev and the retail and the bucket of balls and, the buddies hanging out after and getting bite to eat, right? There's so many different ancillary revenue streams that if Jake and Ted only show up with 2 versus 4, the operator's missing out on a ton.
Yeah. Yeah. And you have to be able to, fill that void. And I think once the operator recognizes that, saying, okay, yeah, if I've got 1 out of 5 tee times that are not being filled, and that's a 20%. So if you're, for argument's sake, if you're doing 100 rounds a day, that's 20 rounds. And even if you fill organically, as you said, even if you were to fill 50%, that's still 10% that's going out the window. And you start adding that up over day, every day or every week, you could be looking at several $100,000 for especially a really busy course. And it's not just the rounds that you're missing out. It's the other revenue that you're missing out. People are not buying, anything from the cart girl. They're not coming in. They're not getting things from the clubhouse, food and beverage and that sort of thing, or they're not, picking up some extra teas or whatever other things that you might be selling in your pro shop. So there's a lot of other revenue that potentially is getting lost if they're not, if they're not filling in those things. And so I could see that that's a big benefit. So obviously generating the revenue, helping to reduce expense. How fast is the turnaround? So if I've got the app on my phone and I decide that, ABC course down the road is a place I want to get in, say a couple times a month or whatever the case is, and I've got a specific time I need to play because that's all I can fill in. So basically I log into the app, I select the course that I want, and I just say, okay, this is the time I want, and then I get notified if it's available. Is that the gist of it?
Close, but a little bit different. So we actually are not an app. Here's a little confusing thing. We are a system. We are like a web app that installs right into the course's website. Okay. So you would go to the course down the road and, let's say, I don't know if you're in Orlando, you go to Shingle Creek, right? And you go to their website, you see a little notify widget. You can use that to just put yourself on standby real quick at the club to get notified when something opens. We also have a functionality that's kind of like we call it confirm. So we'll send you a confirmation text a couple of days before saying, hey, Ted, are you going to be coming to your tee time? I want to confirm. Yes, I am. Great. And just like that, if you say 9, like I want to cancel, we'll take you right off the sheet instantly.
And then it goes back into the inventory. So like you said, it's very similar to an airline where you're almost like you're going to similar to a kiosk where you're actually entering in your information. You're getting into the system at course ABC or whatever it is. And then, putting your particulars in of what you want. And then obviously I'm assuming through email or some other process, you're being notified. Okay.
Text.
Okay. So it's not an on-demand app, if you will, on your phone that you're downloading and then connecting with their system. So really the big benefit that I see to the operator as well is they're not really getting a direct link into their system. I mean, you're hooking up, your web app, if you will, into their system, but the outside are not getting access to that information. They're just getting notified whenever something is available. So that adds an extra level of security for the operator that they're not getting outside, bots and all that kind of stuff coming in and trying to, hack into their system and cancel Fred and his, foursomes out, or something like that and stealing their tee time. So that's a big seller as well. So,
yep. You nailed it.
Yes.
And, I was just going to say, kind of funny story on the bots is, one of the this product was kind of designed thinking about LA City and all of the craziness out here. And, it was a long journey, but after a couple of years, LA City actually signed up with Notify and released their product to all of the golfers in LA. And I think we've had over 2,500 golfers use the product in like the first couple of weeks. So, and tens of thousands of notifications going out to golfers who are engaging and clicking and using it. And hopefully, I think, washing away some of the bad actors.
Are you finding as well with some of the now? Are you also integrated in private clubs as well, or is it particularly just municipal or resort courses? Are you also working with any private clubs? I mean, I know they can work their membership, obviously, but do you see a benefit to the private club setup as well? Because a lot of members sometimes maybe want that, tee time or what have you, and they're going to fight over it. So.
Yeah, you nailed it. I think that one would be all about member experience. We've got a few fully private clubs that are seeing some success. So like TPC Summerlin, they view this as a member benefit. How can Ted's paying pretty sizable, initiation fees. I want to make sure that you don't have to keep refreshing the tee sheet. We've got an easier way for you to get on. So that's one of the kind of key benefits to the private side and member side is getting prioritization to get on the club when you want, where you want.
What is some of the other, I guess what I'm looking at, is there anything besides just getting the notification for tee times? Is there other features that they can utilize through Notify from both the club and obviously the user experience? What are some of the other things besides just, getting a preferred tee time or getting a booked,
Sure.
confirmation on tee time? What are some other things that they can use Notify for?
I think one of the biggest ones is the data, the analytics, and the insights. So we have a pretty thorough dashboard that operators can sign into, and we give a chart about your future demand. So we take all the folks who are hand raisers and saying, yeah, I want to play at the club, visualizing that data, and then allow the operator to say, okay, I see all the future demand I have. I know how many people are on standby on what days, at what times. Awesome. Well, that could impact pricing, that can impact staffing. And it really is like that insurance policy that they can see. We can show you the operator, where your golfers are coming from, demographic data, all sorts of kind of business intelligence. So the insights is a huge part of the value add. And then, as I mentioned, the product has kind of two functionalities. One is the notification, for the tee time. The other is the pre-round confirmation text to mitigate no-shows. Mm-hmm. And that's like a really key part of what we're doing.
Does the operator, or does the course have ways, other than just through the notification, do they have ways of utilizing, I'm assuming because people are obviously having to register with their email or whatever, can they now opt in if the person opts in to receive other things going on at the course? Is that something that they can utilize as well with being part of Notify?
Yeah, absolutely. So you've got the business intelligence dashboard, but you've got all the data from the customers, and the operators are using that for remarketing purposes as well. Once they opt in, they're your customer, and you can, a lot of folks are running pretty targeted campaigns to make sure those golfers keep coming back.
Well, yeah, and if you're having special events coming up, things like that, or maybe, tournaments or things that you want to open up, and you can start marketing that through and get some of those people that maybe, typically might just come on every Tuesday, using the app or using the process, but maybe there's something coming up a little bit later on. Oh yeah, I want to get on, make sure I'm on the list for that. You know what I'm saying? So obviously the private club's a little bit different, but with a resort, if there's some special event coming up, this gives them another list to target. And, maybe if they're an out-of-towner, they might want to come stay in that area, for a night or two or whatever the case is. And maybe it's a tournament or something, a pro-am or what have you that they want to be part of. So they have that option, the operator, to be able to reach out to those folks as well. What are some of the, things coming next? What is sort of the next evolution of Notify that you're thinking about now and working on? And I mean, if there's things that you're not ready to share, that's fine, but give us the ones that you can.
Yeah, no, I like to be an open book. I think for us, we're thinking about where else can we help, especially in the resort scene. Right. So, Sand Valley is a amazing resort in Wisconsin, and when they release their inventory, it's like a holiday, right? They believe it or not, it's like Bandon Dunes, Pebble Beach, right? So they gave us a call and they said, hey, is there anything you guys could do to help with this inventory release situation? And so we worked, pretty hard on a solution that actually was kind of like Taylor Swift Ticketmaster type technology, and we call it Queue. And it pretty much takes all of the golfers who are in line, we put them in the various queue, and then the operator, the reservations team can work through that list and rank and sort based on their key criteria. So that product, we rolled it out at Sand Valley. Now we've got some other amazing resorts coming soon. So that's been a big kind of next journey for us. And our overall vision is, how can we build a platform that makes it easier to get on the course you want to play, and delivers more revenue to the facility. And that's something we've seen pretty successfully. We're looking for all different ways that we can make an impact there.
What are some other things that you guys or that you're considering? I mean, obviously the tee times and that is a big one, but are you touched on earlier, it's very similar to Open Table and, with restaurants, Resi and that sort of thing. Is this something that you're going to somehow integrate through Notify so that they can, incorporate that into the app as well, or like into the software as well? Or are you just strictly going to stick with the tee time reservations?
It's an interesting.
I guess what I'm asking is there other applications that you're thinking about expanding Notify to?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting question, right? We can kind of go deeper on functionality and add new things, and maybe a loyalty program, maybe
right.
Marketing. Maybe we're adding more AI capabilities, right? Or we can kind of go multi-use case. So someone emailed me today and said, "Hey, I'm looking for a cruise, and I keep refreshing the cruise website because I can't find the cruise I want." Which was really funny. But the question is, hey, could Notify be applicable in other verticals, whether it's in medical or whether it's in cruise ships or what have you? The challenge is that's pretty far in terms of applicability to our core golf brand. Right. But I think we're looking at everything. Anything we can do to help make it easier to get on the club, I think we're going to take a good hard look at.
Well, and you can also take your model, if you will, and make it applicable and brand it to something else and have it completely separate. It's really the technology that then comes into play. I guess what I was looking for is, if you've got a resort that has other amenities besides golf, is there a way of making that available through Notify so that if somebody, let's say, was going to the resort down the street, there's 3 golf courses they can choose from that maybe they want to get into, but maybe they've got some great eating places. It's difficult. Is that something, or is that something you want to kind of stay away from and not really it getting too busy then? Is that something that you think that you probably don't want to, because I know they have their own reservation things.
Sure.
Is that something that you've thought about or talked about, or if they approached you, some of the operators said, hey, we would like to be able to incorporate some other things on our resort into this. Can we do it? And does it make sense?
We've definitely been asked for the spa on properties. Right. And I wouldn't be surprised if we incorporated the spa, maybe restaurant integration. So there's a lot of, I think, angles here. But again, back to the initial thesis, like, can we be your booking assistant right in your pocket? Yeah. People book more than just golf. So 100% that's top of mind for us to think about.
Yeah. And as I said, as things develop, once you get this down to the way you want it and get all the adjustments and modifications that you want just exactly the way you want it, then, that's something maybe down the road that you can look at. I was just curious because, I know that nowadays, and especially with COVID, with so many new golfers coming out like yourself and many others, they're not doing things like grandpa used to do where they'd pick up a phone and say, hey, you've got some availability. They're on their phones, they're on their computers or laptops or what have you. And, they're wanting to, get booked right away, or they want to get notified right away. If whatever it is that they want to do. So I can see how this is but are you finding this, is it I guess I want to see how I can phrase this so it makes the most sense. Is this something that is more mainly appealing to a younger demographic, or are you starting to see some older golfers tap in on this as well? Or is it, what would you say would the mix be? I mean, obviously, I'm not saying it's extremely challenging or anything like that, but are you finding some of the older golfers saying, yeah, I like this, I think I'm going to do this too?
No, it's a great question. We see it depends on the market. South Florida, the most active user of the product is 75 years old.
Oh, really?
I'm kidding you not. The SKU distribution is between 65 and 85 are the main users.
Yeah.
Whereas, if I look at Scottsdale, it looks a lot more 25 to 45 is the main group. But our product, again, it's been used by hundreds of thousands of golfers. Mm-hmm. And, I think we're approaching like 300,000 golfers have used it. And they vary by group pretty evenly. There's almost as many 65-year-olds as there are 35-year-olds using the product.
Is there, I think I know the answer, but I'm just for the sake of the listeners out there, is there a cost to the end user to use Notify, to be involved with it? Or is it all on the business, like on the operator? The operator basically, installs the app and that's where you're generating from. But is the user, like if I was, going to sign up on my local course, is there a cost to be part of that, or is there no cost to me?
No cost to the golfer. 100% free, and the operator is the one who's making the investment, saying, hey, we want to give an easier way to, almost like sometimes it's viewed as like a marketing spend. Mm-hmm. Other times it's viewed as as like an operational efficiency spend. So, and somewhere in between. But yeah, it's totally free for the golfers. And that's pretty important to us because, again, you want to be able to, if you can get all this benefit, you're going to be more loyal to that facility.
So tell us, as we get ready to wrap up, tell us about your game. How is being involved in golf, how has it further enhanced your game? Obviously, you can use Notify, your own business, to get you some good tee times here and there, but how's it been helping your game? Are you finding you drawn more to want to play now that you're having a direct impact to the game, or are you still kind of not sure what your commitment for playing is going to be at this point?
Yeah, I mean, I'm obsessed with golf. I love the game. I, just like everyone else, wish I could be hacking it on the range 4 hours a day and then playing an afternoon round. But I think my game is inversely correlated with how good business is doing, because I think the more you're grinding in business, the less you're on the course. But I still get out and play every weekend, or just about. For me, it's like therapy. I mean, there's nothing that beats, getting together with your buddies and chasing a little white ball around for 4 hours. My game is all right. I was actually a college wrestler, so I've got some horsepower, some torque behind the swing. The issue is, I'm sure you would have a field day if you're a teaching pro, because there's a lot of, we need to get back in the lab, Ted, and work on a few things. But I'll tell you what, when I connect, you drive for the show, but I think it's a little bit of the other components, stringing them together, that make it more challenging. So for me, I think I'm about a 10 or 11 handicap.
And how you've been playing for how long? Well,
4 or 5 years.
Wow, that's
5 years. Yeah. So I get out there, and I'm trying to limit the doubles. I'll probably have 8 to 10 pars. I'm trying to hit my one, at least get a birdie quota in there, and an inevitable triple on the card is what I'm always due for, and trying to minimize. So, I'd like, when I play, if I'm mid to high 80s, I'm feeling good about my round. If I'm in the 90s, I'm disappointed. Yeah. If I'm in the low 80s, I'm feeling really good. So that's kind of my game.
Well, for only playing for 5 years, if you're averaging around a 10 handicap, maybe 11, that's pretty darn good. And obviously your athleticism has helped you serve you well. But you can drive for show, but it comes down to the short game, the putting and the chipping, and that's where that's the real money there. So you have to work on your short game. Just don't worry so much about hitting it 300 yards down the middle of the fairway. It looks great to your buddies, but when you're doing a knee knocker at a 3-foot putt and you're trying to save par, and you don't make it, that's when you're going to get.
My hands are sweating thinking about that.
Well, listen, I want to thank you very much. Any final thoughts you want to share? And then let's let the folks know if they want to get more information. I mean, I get a lot of people from courses, not just players, but obviously people in the golf business that watch the program. So if they want to, maybe they're not integrated with you guys right now and they want to get more information, where can they go?
Yeah, right on our website, Notify, Noteefy. You could notify.com. You could check us out and learn more, or you can find me on LinkedIn if you want more golf content in your feed. I think have a lot of friends who unfortunately didn't realize they opted into getting about a golf post a day at this point. So, if you need more LinkedIn golf in your life, Jake Gordon, you can reach out.
I appreciate it. Well, Jake, thank you very much. Hang on for 1 second. And as I get ready to wrap up, I want to thank everybody for tuning in this evening to the show. Special thanks again to both of my guests, Josh Richter from Boyne Golf. Thank you, Josh, for sharing some great insight into the many courses up in the Boyne Resorts. I definitely want to go to boynegolf.com and book your trip for this summer to up in beautiful Michigan. Some great golfing opportunities, a lot of great amenities in the area to explore as well. And then also Jake Gordon, founder and CEO of Notify. Great product. I'm very familiar with it. Just wanted to have you come on and share your thoughts. And I really appreciate you coming on. But I want to thank you as well for doing that. And don't forget to tune in every Thursday from 6 to 8 p.m. Central here on the Riverside.fm network. This broadcast will be uploaded to our YouTube channel at iGolf Sports and also onto Spotify. And the audio version will be basically everywhere, but you can go to Spreaker.com to not only get this broadcast, but you can also get my 12 previous seasons. You can get them there as well, or basically wherever you listen to podcasts. But I want to thank, again, my very special guest for joining me. On that note, have a great weekend, everybody. Don't forget next week's Masters Week, so get out there and start working on your game and see if you can battle it out while you're watching it a little bit on TV. But thanks, everybody. Have a great week, and I'll see you next time on Golf Talk Live.
Thanks for joining us. We hope you enjoyed this week's broadcast of Golf Talk Live. We'd like to thank this week's Coach's Corner panel, and a special thank you to tonight's guest. Remember to join Ted every Thursday from 6 to 8 p.m. Central on Golf Talk Live. And be sure to follow Ted on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you're interested in being a guest on Golf Talk Live, send Ted an email at ted.golftalklive@gmail.com. This has been a production of the iGolf Sports Network.